What's up, my MX Bikes dudes? We got to come in here and talk about the 2023 YZ Yamaha 450F bike. Okay, doing a little like bike review here. So yeah, I'm just trying to come up with some cool content ideas for MX Bikes. I'm about to go in there and get the new 2023 Supercross track pack. Of course, you gotta pay for it. You know, give me that money. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I haven't really been making any videos on those newer tracks. I haven't really shelled out that money yet, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, we will be getting to that though. But in this video, pretty much every single fast dude that I've seen, like currently on MX Bikes on a 450, has been on the Yamaha. There's like no question about it. It is the above and beyond best bike in the game right now. I mean, I don't even think it's close. I don't even think it's close to anything. Like, I remember like in beta 17, I think like the Honda was kind of the bike, or it was competitive with the Yamaha, but now I think it's strictly, it's all blue now, dog. It's all blue now, dog. Da-boo-dee-da-boo-da. Okay. So, anyways, basically, I wanted to talk about how this bike feels a little bit different from the beta 17 YZ450. So, yeah, it is a little bit confusing when you're mixing like different betas and then you're mixing different years of OEM bikes in the game that are not made by the developer. It can get a little confusing and weird, but yeah, it feels similar to the bike from last year, the YZ450 from last year, but I do think it has like a little bit more grip to it. Like the tires setting, I think, has a little more grip. And then obviously with the new like beta 18 update stuff, I think it's given it a little bit more power just overall. Like it just feels faster overall than, you know, after they made that update last year that made the bike start sliding out and stuff like that. So yeah, and also something to remember here, if you downloaded the 2023 OEM bike pack, just remember they have actually done a update to that where they've added the 2-strokes, and the way that you know if you have that updated version of the OEM bike pack is when you go to the bike, if you have the updated version, it'll only show like the stock looking blue plastics, whereas if you have the original OEM 2023 beta 18 OEM bike pack, it'll actually have the black like Star Racing Yamaha skin already included in it. So that's a little bizarre. I don't know why they took that off of the normal OEM bike pack, but it's kind of one of those things like now when you download that new OEM bike pack, it's just going to give you literally like the stock plastics, you know, stock graphics, and then you got to go in there and download something totally separate to get the actual like Star Racing Yamaha black, you know, skin on the bike and stuff like that. Monster Energy Star Racing Yamaha, like in the skin that you guys saw me riding on in my previous MX Bikes video, okay? But nonetheless, it still has like, you can go in there and change like between the blue rims and then some black rims. But yeah, I think they're kind of going for this vibe where when they come out with a new OEM bike pack, I think they're strictly trying to do just the stock plastics and the stock look to the bikes, and then anything extra to that is kind of like considered going and downloading a whole nother skin for it, you know? And realistically, that actually makes more sense, because when you randomly start putting in the like top race teams of these certain manufacturers in the OEM bike pack, you know, it gets a little confusing there. But yeah, so This has got that new, I think it's like a YZ450F looking front fender. I don't know what Yamaha was doing on those real life bikes with that new front fender. I feel like they're kind of going backwards with that, but that's no fault of the dudes working on the bikes for MX bikes. They're just replicating the real life, front fender. But I always thought it just looked kind of basic and weird and goofy looking, like it belongs on a... It's almost like you mixed like a KTM with a YZ450F. It's like if those two things had a baby, that's what the 2023 YZ450 front fender looks like to me. It just doesn't look very aggressive, It doesn't, I don't know, very, very basic. But yeah, either way, the bike's fun to ride in the game, man. It's got a lot of power. That front wheel is going to come up on you. Like, I don't care if you're sipping any tea or not. The front wheel's coming up, dog. Like, you got to know how to lean forward if you're going to really be on that gas. Because any little, like if you jump off of a little single, any little thing that barely gets your front wheel up and you're, if you're wide open on the throttle, T-sipping and ripping, then... that front wheel's going to come up quicker than you can say, Bob's your uncle, big dog. Like, it's going to come up quick, bro. So just be aware of that on this bike. I don't remember the 2022 YZ450 doing that as much as this bike does. So it's kind of fun like that. It's got a little bit of spunk to it. It's got some power feeling to it, when you feel like you can just lift up that front wheel with strictly throttle. That's a pretty cool feeling in the game. It's going to be so interesting to see how these bikes progress over the next 5 years and how the tracks progress over the next 5 years. I almost think it's going to be one of those things where it's like, and me going back and riding on the 22 tracks again, I can just tell it's like, I feel like when we get to like 2024, 2025 aerial Supercross tracks, there's going to be like nobody going back and riding on the 2022 Supercross tracks. That's how much outdated and different they're going to be from what the tracks are going to become in the next couple years. And so, the bigger and the bigger they start making that scaling. I've heard that the 23 Supercross tracks, they kind of have extended the corners a little bit. They're not as like tight and sharp and slick traction like the 22 tracks had. So, then the bikes kind of change and the game's physics changes around it. And then so then you got the physics changing with updates. You got the OEM bike packs changing with how much power and traction they have, in combination with the tracks changing, getting bigger, less janky, where you can start carrying the speed more, making more realistic, better feeling traction and all those kind of things. So honestly, that's a big reason why I didn't jump right into MX bikes, because I knew it was going to take them a certain amount of years to even get their tracks to the point that they're at right now. It's been a slow progression when you really think about it. It's almost like if you go back to the, like the 2010 RF Supercross tracks on MX Simulator, they're like a joke compared to, the 2013 tracks or something. And then the 2013 tracks are like a joke compared to the 2017 tracks. But unfortunately, with MX Sim, after 2017, everything went backwards, and, the 2023 tracks are actually a joke compared to the 2017s. So that was kind of the end of that natural progression of better traction, bigger jumps, bigger whoops, more skill gap. Once they introduced the road system, and then into 2018, everything changed and went down a totally different road with MX Sim. But with MX bikes, see, it's had that terrain deformation from the very beginning. It just belongs in the game. It just feels better. There's something about the terrain deformation on bikes that it just feels better to me. It doesn't feel so like out of place like MX Simulator's road system does. There's just something about it, dog. So yeah, either way, this bike right here is sick. If you haven't really played this game in a while, This is definitely going to be the best bike to get on with Beta 18 if you're trying to really get around these Supercross tracks. MX Bikes is one of those, especially with the 2022 Supercross tracks. They're kind of all or nothing with a lot of the different spots on the track. And if you don't have that perfect amount of power, perfect amount of rolling the throttle on and hucking the bike and all that, it's hard to even get around the track. You know, like especially if you go to Oakland 22, you know, I don't even know if you can get across them jumps across the start straight on a 250. So guess what I'm trying to say here is you need all the power you can get. You need all the traction you can get. And you're going to get the most of that with the 2023 YZ450 in the Beta 18 OEM bike pack. So yeah, be sure and go download that, update that. I'm sure it is drastically different than the Poboso stock, you know, KTM looking bikes in the game, the orange, you know, default bikes in the game. There's going to be a lot of those tracks that are going to be really hard to get around if you don't basically download extra separate community-made content, aka the 2023 OEM bike pack. I mean, it's like it's made just to that point where you can just get around the 22, like the Oakland and some of the bigger jumps and stuff. You can just get around them on that 23 YZ450 on the 2023 OEM bike pack. So it's just something to keep in mind. Spency Boy's about to go in there and check out some of those paid tracks for MX bikes. We'll see what that's all about. Man, I've just been chilling on the game, having fun, messing around. I've been getting in there on my Discord playing. If you're not already in the Discord, make sure you DM me on Instagram at Spencer Turley, no spaces, no capital letters, and I'll get you in there. We've just been going in there having a good old time, man. You know, not getting too serious with it, but just trying to have fun, man. Like, I feel like I missed out on some of that with MX Sim because it was so serious and so I cared so much about every little online race and all that shit. I just don't look at MX bikes like that. You know, I'm literally just playing the game, having fun. So that's the only way I can bear to even play it. Like, if I was super serious like that again, I would just burn myself out and I wouldn't even want to play it anymore. So, but yeah, either way, that's kind of the review of what I think is the best bike in the game right now. This is definitely the one that you want to be on if you're trying to huck some bigger jumps. If you're trying to get around some of those weirder, older Supercross tracks that have some weird big jumps on them, this is the one you got to be on, bro. So, yeah, and I would kind of think that's pretty accurate to real life, too. So, that's cool to see.